Let's get into stories because stories, if you look at the graphic on the screen, you guys, stories were the tipping point for Instagram. So let's be really fair. Snapchat released stories. Instagram copied it. Instagram, it became more popular. This chart is the growth of Instagram stories compared to Snapchat.
Yeah.
It's not even close. So what happened is as soon as Instagram came out with stories, that's when things got really exciting. It's actually the fastest growing product in the history of Facebook. And stories are going to be more popular than the news feed starting this year. So stories are where it's at, but it's almost like I feel like we already taught a whole class, Jimmy. And now we're like starting over on stories. So I can see how it's daunting for people. It's like, oh, not only do I have to be on Insta, I got to do stories too. But we've got some great advice on stories here for people.
Well, what's the ratio? Because I think this is something, as you just perfectly articulated, people feel overwhelmed with this idea of being interesting enough to sort of share lots of stories. And I want you to first set the stage here by giving me a sense of what is the ratio from posts to stories in your mind right now? What's the right ratio?
Yeah, it's a fascinating question. So remember before we said like 1 to 3 posts a day would be kind of low end and high end. So stories, you're looking more, Jimmy, like 6 to 10 a day. You know, like if somebody's posting 6 to 10 stories a day, that's kind of about right, which I know feels really daunting. We're going to give some people ways to post stories consistently. Because I know that was something you struggled with. You know, it's like, what do I do a story of? I'm already doing a post. Now I got to do a story.
Let me be real, of course. I want to be real with the audience. When I grab the phone like this and I hold it up and I start talking to I feel like Ty Lopez. And I'm trying to dig at Ty Lopez, but that's just not me. So like this is hard for me to do because I just feel like it's not my personality. But that's like what you naturally kind of go to when you're thinking about creating stories. And maybe you guys who are listening right now can relate to me. This is not easy. Some of us can do it really well, like yourself. But for others, you know, it doesn't come natural for us to do that. So talk about
just a quick pro tip for those that do that. Just hold it a little higher, Jimmy.
Is that what it is?
We got to work on that chin fat, dude. You don't know that tip?
No, the beer's covering any of that at this point.
But yeah, so pull up the slide because what I've done is I've broken down a way for people to stay consistent with stories. But these are just all the ways. Like it doesn't have to be the selfie video. It's a good analogy, Jimmy. A lot of people are afraid of that. But the other things you can do, like one of the fastest one you can do is you can share someone else's post as a story. So like if you find a great quote, or like Jimmy, there's an account called Room Porn. It's one of the best accounts on Instagram for listings. Let's say you follow HGTV. Let's say you're following Chip and Joanna, you know, from the Fixer Uppers or whatever. Let's say you're following Love It to List It, right? If you go on to a post, I want everybody to do this with me. Find a post. So I'm looking at the Curator Systems post. And all you have to do is when you click on a post, you click the little, it looks like a paper airplane, Jimmy. It's right next to heart and comment. So you click the paper airplane. And when you click that, one of the options is add to story. And by doing that, you're taking somebody else's post to help bulk up your stories. That's a technique anybody can do. You don't even have to do a post to do this story. You can just follow great accounts that have great quotes, that have great architecture, that have great amenities, and you can actually just turn their post into a story. Now, pro tip, Jimmy, when you do that, if you tap on it once, it kind of gives it the Instagram frame. If you tap on it again, it makes it look more like a record album. See that? So are you following along?
Yeah. So walk me through that one more time.
Yeah. So did you click the airplane?
I click on the airplane. Yep.
Okay. And now see how it's got the post, but it doesn't have a border. Tap it once.
Got it. Okay.
See? So what I do is I actually don't use the one with the border very often because I think it looks much more natural and organic the other way. And so instead of all my stories looking like other people's posts, I just use the version that doesn't have the border.
Got it.
Now, but here's another way to add more stories. See on the screen where it says share your post as a story. So basically everything I just said but you do it for your own posts. So every time you post on Instagram, you should post your post as a story. And when I do that, Jimmy, I do make it look like a post. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Because the whole point of it is new post, go check it out. Now, what's cool is when you share a story, people can tap on it and then they can go see post. So what a lot of times, this is a real pro tip, because you can do, I wish people could see this. I don't know if they can see it, but what you can do is you can actually like draw over the post and make it like mysterious. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like blur it out and you have to go visit our profile to see our new post. That's a little bit of a pro tip, but basically other people's posts and your own posts are some of the best place to get stories.
I love it.
Another one that I just taught you this morning is to record your screen.
Yep.
So, Jimmy, do you want to talk people through how to turn that feature on?
Yeah, for sure. So if you guys look at my phone right now, you obviously are looking at the settings feature when you sort of just swipe down, and you notice that you have your flashlight, your timer, your calculator, your camera. But what I didn't have and Chris had was basically the ability to record my iPhone screen. So as an example, something that I normally would do if I'm came across a blog that I loved or came across an article I want to share, I would normally record it on desktop and I would talk through it, and then I would sort of export that and then share that on my phone and then share that on Instagram. What you're able to do is if you go into your settings on your iPhone, I have no idea if this works on Android, but I'm sure there's a feature that works there. If you go into your settings and you go under, I believe it was general, right? Excuse me, not general. It was under...
yeah, let's go in. It was settings.
Yep. Control center.
Jimmy, it's control center.
Yep.
And then you have to click on customize controls.
Yep.
And under there, you can turn on the screen recording one.
Yep. And then once you're in there, right, customize controls, now you can begin to record your screen. Now, one quick question. Will it also record your audio and the screen if you're talking through it?
Nope. Right now, it just records the actual screen. So the way I use that, Jimmy, is let's say we've got a new blog post on our site.
Yep.
So I will actually pull up the article. Then I will swipe down and hit record.
Got it.
It gives you actually a little countdown, and then you see a red box at the top.
Got it.
And then I'll scroll through what I want people to see. You hit the red box, you hit stop, and then you've got a video that you can turn into a story. Yeah. So like think about like, hey, we just put this new listing up on Zillow, check it out. Hey, check out this new article we wrote. Think about that concept of like turning a review into a story. Yeah. Well, now it could be a video that you do. But here's the other thing you can do, Jimmy. This is another cool one. You know how if you just hit the right and the left button, boom? Like a lot of my stories are actually just screenshots. Because you got to remember, the stories are the same shape as the phone.
Yeah.
So if you actually just pull something up on your screen that you want to turn into a story, it's crazy fast. And then what I do, and this is a pro tip, if you turn a screenshot into a story, usually there's a little crap at the bottom or top. And then all you can do is you can just use the writing tool, turn it white, and you can cover it up.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So you know, between sharing other people's posts, sharing your own posts, sharing other people's stories, because you can re-story a story, and then screenshots, and then video screenshots. And then the other one, Jimmy, is polls are amazing. Like,
well, let's look at in the wild here, because I think when you see this, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. But when you see it like this, you're like, wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow moment.
That's Epic Life sharing a post. That's somebody sharing someone's story. The third one is somebody doing a video of their own screen, right? Yeah. This is everything in the wild. But on the bottom row, there's three really great ones. Like the countdown is such a smart one because people can literally get notified and get a push alert when that countdown ends.
Wow.
So like if you have a coming soon listing, or let's say you're doing a big party on a certain date at a certain time, that's a great one. The other one that's great is polls. People absolutely love taking these polls. Like I did one this week, Jimmy. Coldwell Banker put out their new logo.
Yeah.
And I just took a picture of them unveiling it. And I said, what do you think of the new logo? You know, yes or no, good or bad. It does great. And then that other one, if you look at the bottom 4 or the bottom 5, there's a feature called questions. Questions is a way for you to post a story, but then a bunch of people can ask you questions through the story.
Yeah.
And then you're able to reshare their answers. So Jimmy, you should do this one, right? You should do one where you say, hey, I've got a few minutes. I want to answer any questions you guys have about marketing. Let me know.
Yeah.
And then through that sticker, they can submit questions. And then what you do is you turn their questions and your answer into another story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's another way to really bulk it up.
That's like using like maybe a guess this price type of tactic if you get a listing as an example, a way to sort of drive up engagement. Yeah. A quick sidebar about Coldwell Banker's logo. What was your initial impression on that?
I got no comment on that right now, Jimmy.
Okay.
My initial impression is pretty much what everybody's impression was, which was that it looked a lot like a sports team.
Yeah.
I think that was fair feedback. If you look at the way the C and the B overlap, and if you look at the star, that star and the color of the star, it just kind of screams Dallas Cowboys a little bit.
A little bit. Well, but the interesting thing.
Well, let me just say one thing.
Sure.
You set me up for this.
Yes.
What people forget to do is look at the old one.
Yes.
See what I'm saying? So like we can all micro critique the new one.
Yes.
But if you ask me, Chris, do you like their new logo better than their old logo? Absolutely. Their old logo with the C and the B was pretty awful.
Yeah.
So I think it's a big step up there. The feedback on social, because I did a bunch of polls.
Yeah.
75%, 70% thumbs down, about 25 to 30% thumbs up.
I think that's almost all. And the reason I brought this up is because you did do a poll on it, and I thought it was a really interesting. Because what you're doing is you're taking an event, newsjacking an event, and getting feedback through an Instagram poll, which was interesting to me. But the other thing is,
sometimes Jimmy, we'll do a poll. This is called the yes poll. This is just kind of another pro tip.
Yeah.
Like, hey, are you excited Whole Foods is coming? Yes. Yes. Like those are the two choices. You know what I'm saying? So you can have fun with it. You can see the one on the screen, I think a couple slides back.
And we're talking about, and hopefully you guys are taking a ton of notes and ton of takeaways here about using stories. The thing about stories is, Chris, you got 10,000, 12,000 followers right now on your Instagram profile. How many organic views do you have of your stories on average?
Yeah, 12,000, not 10,000, but that
between 10 and 12, 10 and 13.
I have actually between 12 and 13 because I have 12,500. And like I said, it's hard to get those followers.
Yeah, you got it
without cheating. So I'm freaking proud of every single one. What was your question?
My question was, how many people are viewing your stories on average compared to the amount of followers you have?
This is a little bit of proprietary information, but right now for me personally, it's anywhere between 500 and 1,000. So depending on the timing, depending on the story, depending on the hashtag, it's anywhere between about 500 views on the low end and closer to 1,000 views on the high end.
What's super interesting about that is that, first off, I hope you guys really appreciate the fact that if you even get to his number, 12,500 and then some, that's an attainable number for everyone who's watching right now. It might take them a little bit of elbow grease, a couple of campaigns.
Jimmy, Tim Smith Group, Paul Kaplan Group, we have clients over 10K.
Yeah, well, what's crazy about that is that I don't think people appreciate getting 1,000 views of any of your stuff organically in today's modern marketing world is outrageously hard. So the fact that you can do that through Instagram is crazy. What's also interesting to me is I'm averaging about 150 or so for mine. So what my following is about 2,300. So what's interesting is that, like, even as you scale, that actually is going to also scale with you.
That's
which is
the
really
beauty of it. That's why, back to our first thing, like, is it worth picking up followers? It is, because that follower number, it's kind of like the rising tide lifts all the ships. If you get followers the right way, you're automatically getting story views the right way. But one other thing, Jimmy, 0 people see your stories that didn't want to. So this is not fair.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Like you can't even say 1,000 views organically is hard. 1,000 views that people clicked to display it is really hard.
Yeah.
So
that's
an excellent story view is really worth 10 times more than a post view.
That's what we call in marketing an opt-in. They're opting in to see that. So define quality for me. We'll go rapid fire on this. Define what quality means for you in stories before we talk about calls to action.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you leave that one up, those are quality stories that a real estate agent could do. Beautiful listing, like with the slider. You've got the poll, like guess the price is a great one. Hey, we just sold this home. Here's what it looked like. Guess the price. You can see the beautiful countdown timer. You can see like kind of just more of a community engagement one. We're showing one with, a new blog post, things like that. So there's a lot of things happening there.